In the far future, long after Earth has gone silent, something is found drifting through space. Not a ship, not a weapon, not a warning, a signal. A weak, ancient transmission traveling endlessly through the dark. It does not ask for help. It does not demand rescue. It simply speaks. This is the story of Earth's final broadcast, and why humanity chose to speak when no one was listening. Long before the signal was sent, humanity already knew the truth. Earth was dying, not suddenly, not violently, but inevitably. The oceans were changing. The atmosphere was thinning. The planet was becoming less stable with every passing century. There was no single disaster, no explosion, no asteroid. Just a slow, unstoppable countdown. By the time world governments admitted it publicly, the timeline was clear. Earth had less than 100 years left. Too little time to escape. Too little time to terraform another world. Too little time to save everyone. So humanity made a decision. If we could not survive, we would be remembered. The final broadcast project began in silence. No public announcements, no celebrations, no hope attached. Only engineers, scientists, historians, artists, and philosophers. Their task was simple and impossible. Create a message that explains humanity, not to aliens, not to gods, but to the universe itself. The signal would be transmitted once. Only once. It would be powerful enough to travel millions of years, simple enough to be understood by unknown minds, honest enough to represent who we truly were. The question was not how to send it. The question was what to say. The first drafts were rejected immediately. Too political, too technical, too emotional, too shallow. Humanity argued over its own meaning until the very end. Some wanted to send science, others wanted art, others wanted apologies. But time was running out. As Earth changed, cities slowly emptied, coastlines vanished, seasons lost their rhythm, and still the message remained unfinished. Then someone asked a question that changed everything. What would we say if we were speaking to the future, not asking for rescue? The signal was redesigned. It would not be a plea. It would not be a warning. It would be a record. The broadcast began with mathematics. Simple patterns, prime numbers, universal constants, not to show intelligence, but to say, we were here. We understood the universe. Then came sound, the wind through trees, rain hitting stone, waves breaking on sand, sounds that would never exist again. Then came voices, not leaders, not famous figures. Ordinary people, children laughing, elders telling stories, voices speaking thousands of languages, not translated, because understanding was not the goal. Presence was. Images followed. Earth from space. Hands touching soil. Eyes looking into the sky. Joy. Fear. Love. Conflict. Nothing hidden. Humanity did not pretend to be perfect. The final section was the hardest. A single spoken message. Recorded just days before transmission. It said, "This is not a message of survival. This is a message of existence. We were a species that wondered. We were afraid. We were curious. We tried to understand the universe, even when it did not notice us. If you are hearing this, know that we lived. The signal was ready." On the final day, as Earth systems failed one by one, the transmitter powered up. There was no countdown broadcasted, no ceremony, just a silent room, a glowing indicator. And then, the signal left Earth, traveling at the speed of light, leaving behind a planet that would soon fall quiet forever. 8 minutes later, the sun rose one last time. No one was there to see it. The signal continued, past the moon, past the outer planets, past the edge of the solar system. Earth was gone, but the message remained. Still traveling, still speaking, even now. The last signal does not wait for a reply. It does not care if it is understood, because its purpose was never to be answered. It was to say something rare in the universe, that once, on a small blue planet, life looked into the darkness and spoke. The signal kept moving. Long after Earth disappeared from memory, the message continued its journey through space. No one tracked it, no one followed it, but the universe did not erase it. As centuries passed, the signal crossed regions of space where stars were still being born. It passed clouds of gas older than Earth itself. It passed worlds that never developed life. It passed systems that failed before they could begin. The message became older than humanity ever was, and still it spoke. What most people never consider is this. The signal outlived its creators almost immediately. Within a few thousand years, all physical traces of humanity were gone. Cities collapsed, satellites fell, even monuments turned to dust. Earth became quiet in a way it had never been before. No radio noise and no lights, no movement. Just geology reclaiming memory. But the broadcast did something strange. It turned humanity into an event, a moment in the universe that could never be undone. For the first time, humanity was no longer bound to Earth. It existed as information. The signal became a fossil made of light. As it traveled, the signal slowly degraded. Cosmic radiation bent it, gravity stretched it, time distorted it, but parts remained intact, enough to tell a story. Millions of years later, the signal entered a different era of the universe. Stars were dying more frequently, galaxies were drifting apart, the universe itself was aging. By this point, even if someone heard the signal, Earth no longer existed as a reference. No maps, no coordinates, no familiar stars. Humanity had become unlocatable. This raises a terrifying question. Was the message ever meant to be found? Or was it simply a confession? The final broadcast was not designed for a specific listener. It was designed against oblivion. Because humans feared one thing more than death: erasure. Throughout history, humanity built structures to last forever. Pyramids, statues, books, digital archives, but none of them were permanent. The broadcast was different. It was not carved in stone. It was not written on paper. It was encoded into the fabric of space-time itself. Light does not forget. And that may have been the final hope. As the universe expanded, the signal stretched thinner. Its energy weakened, but its existence continued. Even now, it is still moving, still saying, "We were here." There is a theory that no intelligence ever truly dies. It simply becomes harder to detect. If that theory is true, then humanity still exists, as a whisper, as background noise in the cosmos, as a memory without a mind. And that makes the final broadcast the longest-lasting human artifact ever created. Longer than Earth, longer than the Sun, longer than the Milky Way will survive. The message may one day reach nothing, a cold universe with no listeners. But even then, it will still be there, traveling, unanswered, and perhaps that is the most human ending possible. To speak, not because someone is listening, but because silence is worse, because existence demands expression. The final signal did not ask for meaning. It created meaning. And in doing so, humanity escaped the one thing it feared most: being forgotten. Somewhere in the darkness between galaxies, a message still travels. It carries no hope, no future, only truth, that once, against impossible odds, the universe became aware of itself and spoke once, only once, and then forever went quiet. But the story does not truly end with silence, because silence itself is not empty. Long after the final signal fades beyond detectability, the universe continues to carry its imprint. Not as sound, not as language, but as consequence. Every photon that left Earth changed the universe, even if only by an impossible-to-measure amount. The final broadcast altered space-time, however slightly. That change can never be undone, which means the universe is not the same universe it would have been if humanity had never existed. This leads to an unsettling realization. Even if no one ever hears the message, it still mattered, because existence is not defined by being witnessed. It is defined by impact. The signal was impact, a small one, a fragile one, but real. There is a strange comfort in knowing this. Humanity did not disappear completely. It became part of the universe's structure, folded into radiation, embedded in cosmic noise, mixed into the background of reality itself. In a way, the universe remembers us without knowing it remembers, and perhaps that is the only kind of immortality that ever truly existed. Consider this. If one day, far in the future, a new intelligence arises somewhere in the universe, it will do what all intelligence does. It will look outward. It will listen. It will search for meaning in the dark. And even if it never decodes the signal, even if it never isolates it from the cosmic noise, the signal will still influence the environment it explores. A fraction of a fraction of a fraction. But enough to say, you are not alone in the history of existence. There were others before you. This reframes the final broadcast entirely. It was not a message to aliens. It was a message to time, a declaration sent forward, not outward. Humanity did not ask to be remembered. It insisted on leaving a trace. Throughout its existence, humanity feared the idea of being insignificant. A small species, on a small planet, in an enormous universe. The final signal rejected that fear. Not by claiming importance, but by accepting smallness and speaking anyway. That may have been humanity's greatest act. To understand that meaning does not require scale, only intent. The universe does not care if something is small. It only cares that it happened. And humanity happened. For a brief moment, in a narrow window of cosmic history. Life emerged, consciousness awakened, questions were asked. And before the answers could be found, time ran out, but not before one final choice was made: to speak. Even now, as you listen to this story, Earth still exists. The signal has not yet been sent. The ending is not written, which makes this moment rare. Because we are living in the time before the broadcast, the time when the message is still being formed. Every decision, every discovery, every failure, all of it shapes what that final signal would become, or whether it will ever need to exist at all. Perhaps the greatest lesson of the last signal is not about the end, but about now. About understanding that every civilization is temporary, but not meaningless, and that speaking into the darkness is not foolish. It is human. One day, far in the future, there may be silence, but today, there is still a voice, and the universe is still listening. Even if it does not answer, not yet.